If you watched AEW Full Gear 2025 yesterday and was hoping deep down in your Tootsie Toes, oh my gosh, I hope I get a bunch of surprises in my face, which is the worst sentence I've said for a while. Boy, how did AEW give it to you, which is also a terrible sentence, but don't worry. My name is Simon Miller, I am the bored a-hole. You have tuned into AEW Full Gear 2025, ups and downs, where we are going to give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down. It's essentially a review, and I have opinions, and they're big opinions, which is probably going to divide the audience right down the middle, but that is what the comments are for. Then you can subscribe to yell at me every single day. I appreciate you, my friends. Now let's talk about Full Gear. Now, I'm actually going to kick things off with a down, which I rarely do, but I'm always going to be true, which rhymes, so it must be true. I totally screwed that one up. But it was the Don Callis family taking on Mr. Toni on a Mascara Dorada, and this was meant to be the last show on the pre-show, but then it bled into the main show, mostly because Okada decided, I'm not going to turn up on time, because I don't work the pre-show. But it did mean when we got our big pyrotechnic display, we went from the pre-show into the main show, which is exactly what we did in the last pay-per-view. Now listen, I loved it then, and I did enjoy it here too, but sometimes less is more, especially in pro wrestling, and the fact we did it on back-to-back big events, well, it just kind of made me go, well, now next time we do it, it's not going to mean as much. I would have just given it a rest for 4 months or so, or whatever time frame you wanted to give it. And again, what do I know? Absolutely nothing, but it entered my brain, and then my rest of my body sort of agreed with it, and I was like, well, I'm going to have to talk about it now, so I'm going to give it a down. However, Okada did save the day, because he rolled out, only once he had been told, Full Gear proper is on now, Okada. He's like, all right, fine, I'll go to the ring. And Takeshita was so upset about this, these two and their facial expressions, which could be the name of a cartoon, up. Mr. Ko had been taken out before this as well, so it was actually 2-on-2 for a while, but that's just so that he could hobble back down to the ring, because he is a good baby face. And essentially, because Okada and Takeshita were arguing on the outside, and they kept falling out, Mr. Ko applied La Mystica onto Hechicero, and boy howdy, did he tap out so fast. I think somebody whispered to him, we're behind time, you have to speed up, and he totally got it. But it was a super fun match. I am going to give it an up as well. And we are really planting some seeds for Okada and Takeshita. I thought we would do it on this show, but as it turned out, it could even tie into the Continental Classic. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, they're talented folk. Up. When we got our first shock of the evening, because I did not see this coming, but it was Pac versus Darby Allin in a normal wrestling match. I guess that was the stipulation. And I thought Darby was going to win this as he continues to make his way probably to a world title reign in 2026, because if you can beat Pac, who's one of the best wrestlers on the planet, well, it just shows you've got moxie. But actually went the other way, because I believe there's a different story to tell. Now, there were still a couple of nuts things in this, including Pac press slamming Darby to the floor, and you should watch that just for the noise. It's like that, you hear bones crash, and because Darby Allin had been burned at blood and guts, he came out with tape all over him. Why wouldn't that fabric protect him? So Pac ripped off the bandages and started to basically just like play with his skin. This was disgusting, because Darby got burned for real. I kind of sat there and questioned my life choices, but I was like, you know what, Simon, you're in too deep now, you may as well keep going, Sum 41. Then we got some absolutely horrific looking German suplexes, including one when Darby went for the coffin drop and Pac catched him again, when actually Pac went for that black arrow and he missed, so Darby was like, great, I'm going to apply the Scorpion Deathlock. And given that he has been using that move to win loads of matches, I was like, well, I was right. Of course he's going to be victorious. When Pac did the Death Rider sign, whatever you want to call it, out came Wheeler Yuta. He cast Distraction, put one on the dick board. So Pac just went and got the bat, which of course is an homage to Sting. He cracked Darby Allin and he pinned him, and he got the uno dos tres. Now, this genuinely surprised me, but actually I do think it's going to tie into the end of the Death Riders, or at least the removal of Jon Moxley, but once more, we'll talk about that later. But it was just a great match. Pac is so damn underrated, and I just find Darby Allin so compelling, because I think he wakes up every day and thinks to himself, what won't I do? And he looks at his list, and it's empty. In fact, no, the only one thing is protect myself. That one is like, not interesting, I'm giving it an up. It was just so damn easy to watch. And yeah, in terms of Pac, maybe he could become the new leader of the Death Riders. But AEW actually got me again, because I'm just so easy. But it was that four-way women's tag team thingamajig that ties into the tournament, with the winners getting to decide what stipulation they had for their semi-final, and the Timeless Love Bombs won. Now, given I had the Timeless Love Bombs win the whole tournament, I didn't think they would win here, so now I don't know what we're going to do next. In terms of turning on Dynamite, I guess that's the correct thing. I mean, they could still be victorious. You just look back and go, wow, Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa absolutely destroyed the field. And of course, because Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir were in this, they were just throwing people around because they're essentially big women slapping women meat. They really could become the tag team champions, even though they were thrown together at the last minute as well, because I do think they work. At one point, they stopped Toni Storm from making the tag. So Mina was like, all right, I tag Willow instead. That's just the rules when you get to a crazy tag team match like this. Julia Hart and Skye Blue then took out Harley Cameron, who of course was hanging out playing Nintendo 2. And I think that just pissed off Megan Bayne because she started hurling people all around the place. When eventually we went back to Willow and she did the hot tag. And listen, I'm just repeating myself now, but the Babes of Wrath could also become the new tag team champions. Because in terms of teams that are left in this, apart from maybe the Timeless Love Bombs, everybody loves Harley and Willow. I mean, they really are the definition of, you make me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Bayne and Shafir then basically copied the end of Blood and Guts because they had Mina and they were going to kill her with submissions, with Toni Storm going, no, don't do this to my bae. But actually this time she ran in and made the save, so now she'll be able to sleep well at night again. When Nightingale made sure she ended Bayne with a pounce, and then Marina took something as well, when Mina went to the top rope and decided, you know what I can do? I can jump onto everybody, because again, I have 422 bodies down there, and I'm sure I'll be fine. Put a 1 on the dive counter as basically a dive. Eventually it left Harley Cameron and Toni Storm in the ring, which was interesting, because they had a battle over the most devastating move in all of sports, an attempt surprise roll-up. And I guess because Toni Storm is more experienced, she was able to stop Harley Cameron. And yeah, she pinned her for the 1, 2, 3. So I guess it was a bit like, where did that come from? But it was also the correct finish because you don't want to give too much away about who could go through from the semi-finals. So yes, this was totally fine. I still find this stipulation thing weird, because why is one semi-final going to have a stipulation and the other one isn't? That doesn't make it a fair tournament, but we'll wait and see. But yes, it was a good match. It was a fine match. A small part of me was like, did we really need it? Because AEW pay-per-views are too long, but they did a good job. When we got to our first title change of the night, because FTR took on Brodido, Bandido, Bambrolido, and they did get the victory. I don't even know what to do here, because this was brilliant. It was arguably the match of the night, but really it was one of the matches of the year. It was just so damn tremendous. It had so many good near falls, and because you did get the big title change as well, it just makes you go, I can't believe it. Even more so because 1, FTR the heels, and 2, at one point, Stokely Hathaway took a dive from Brody King, and he saved Dax Harwood. So he deserves every bit of this success too. FTR were just super assholes throughout all of this as well, because they kept stopping the referee from seeing tags and taking all of these shortcuts. But when you got to the back end of the thing, and it was just you do a move, I'll do a move, we'll get a 1-2-ooh, then we'll reverse your move into another move, and we'll go back into a 1-2-ooh. And I think you could have made the case for Brodido keeping those belts, because they've been awesome this year, but FTR, as I loosen my words, are one of the best tag teams ever, and they've even said to you, this title win has to come our way for our legacy. So they kept you guessing. I'm just going to tell you to watch it. I mean, watch the rest of my stupid review instead. But it is genuinely brilliant. And also, Bandido was kicking out of things at the end that made me go, who's going to win? Who's going to do it, even with his dodgy shoulder? And Brody King got spike bar driven on the ring apron. Once again, if I get my what didn't they do book out, why do I have one of these? It makes no sense. Where did everything? So is it empty or is it full? I can't remember which way I phrased that. FTR just got pissed off at the end of this though, and they hit Bandido, who was basically a walking zombie, with the Shat Machine to get the 1-2-3. I have zoomed through this way too fast, but your time would be better invested going watching this for yourself. It is a superb tag team match and reminds you how great tag team wrestling can be, which has always been FTR's thing. And once more, even though Bandido and Brody King have lost, they should stay together. We have something here. I am not giving it an up. I am giving it a golden up. That's how good I think it was. And you just know if you give it 3 weeks and you go watch it again, it's probably going to get better still. Massive round of applause. This flubbing ruled. And it was pure fun after this, because it was time for our Casino Gauntlet match to crown the first ever national champion. And while there are a bunch of fair critiques about having yet another belt in AEW, this stipulation, man, it is the best. So Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin did come in at number 1 and 2, and they wrestled for a bit. But guess who number 3 was? Ricochet. If I was Bobby or Shelton, I'd march into AEW management office and say, listen, we really busted our ass to be 1 and 2. And that Ricochet, he was being a dickhead, and he gets to come in at number 3. This whole thing needs to change. Of course, he came out of the gates of agony too, so they just beat up the Hurt Syndicate, including MVP, because that feud can never end. And Claudio came in at number 4. Ricochet dived in. and Castagnoli gave him this uppercut, if all of a sudden somebody rang me for some reason and said, "Did you hear Ricochet lost his head?" I'd be like, I'm not surprised. Number 5 was Daniel Garcia, so I was shouting corruption at my television screen because that's 2 Death Riders members, so that's not fair. And Orange Cassidy was next, but after that was Wheeler Yuta. I was like, somebody has rigged the vote. Kevin Knight was number 8, and my gosh, he jumped higher than the sun for his first move, as Roderick Strong came out at number 9. And do not forget that Rodders loves backbreaking, so if you do need to buy a gift for Mr. Strong, when it comes to this holiday Xmas season, you absolutely should buy him a backbreaker, because even though he has all of them, he'll want one more. Mark Davis was number 10, and he walked out clearly going, I'm going to show everyone they need to remember me, because my gosh, he too was the definition of big man, slapping man meat, because he was tonking everyone. And Mike Bailey entered at number 11, probably tried to help his friend and get revenge on Shelton, but instead Daniel Garcia punched him right in the penis. That actually worked really well too, because Matt Menard, Daddy Magic was next, and he hated this guy. That was his protege that did turn his back, so they actually fought out throughout the crowd. I'm like, that's how you do a Royal Rumble-esque match. You just build in a nice story. And bless the commentators too, because they were like, Big Daddy Magic has forgotten about the National Championship, but it's just because his heart is broken in two. Claudio, Benjamin, Bobby, and Mark Davis then had a big, well, we all jack people, so we should run into each other for a while. And Ricochet decided he was going to win that. And of course, they all turned around and they bopped him too. This Ricochet man, he just gets it. I love this character. I think he's doing good work. It also just triggered all the moves, and at one point Wheeler Yuta hit a Psycho knee and it felt like he was going to win. When Kevin Knight came flying onto him with a UFA smash, so of course that got people excited. When Ricochet once again looked around, he smashed him with the Spirit Gun and he pinned him for the 1, 2, 3. And we predicted this, so it made me happy. I made that rhyme somehow. But yeah, there was always going to be a reason why he got squashed on Dynamite. So it makes all the sense in the world. And he can go to Ring of Honor, he can go to CMLL, he can go to New Japan. When Wrestle Kingdom's like a few weeks away. I think it's a good decision. And if we want to look at championships, like rewarding people that have had great 2025, who deserves that more than Ricochet? Once again, I think he's just completely reinventing himself, which is the art in pro wrestling. I'm giving it an up. I love this stipulation. And Tony Schiavone too was like, we will never know the remaining competitors, because that's how the Casino Gauntlet works. So we should give that to somebody over the next few weeks. They just turn up on Dynamite and Kris and be like, I was meant to be the next guy and it got taken away from me. There was also kind of another surprise after this, but what a shout out we have to give to Jon Moxley, talking about people that have great 2025s. He has just started to pick and choose people to elevate. Imagine I told you just a few weeks ago, oh, by the end of November, Kyle O'Reilly will be a massive contender in AEW. You'd look at me like, well, we like him, what the flub's going to happen? But it just reminds you, it doesn't matter where you are on the card, if all of a sudden we can light a fire under your ass, it takes what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? All of a sudden people will buy in. If you want Kyle O'Reilly to have a massive 2026, well, you planted the tree. Now, of course, it was no holds barred, so let's just go through a few things that did happen in this match, including the return of the fork. No, that is not a song from the late 90s, but yeah, you know, they were stabbing each other, and there was a lot of blood, and one person got stabbed in the hand, and then there was more blood, and I was like, man, this fork, I struggle with this fork, because it means sometimes when I have my dinner, I look at it and go, ugh. Then I realised I'm not going to stab myself. We also got some chain strangling as yet more blood ran down people's faces. And of course, Jon Moxley was biting people because he has a problem, when there was also a chair. I'm just going to sum it up for you as best I can. We did really disgusting things with the chair. It was basically using a torture device and we got a damn curb stomp on it. And no, don't go and do your grifting on the internet. Some people are going, oh, I can't believe in an AEW show. People started trying for Seth Rollins. This was quite clearly done on purpose. Jon Moxley did a curb stomp and then basically looked at the camera like, tee, I knew what I've done there. For goodness sake, let's just enjoy a fun moment. Now, of course, more important than all of this is the story, which is Jon Moxley is terrified of submitting these days. So even though Kyle O'Reilly had been absolutely busted up, he was able to apply the ankle lock, and that flubbing Jon Moxley tapped out. There was so much to this. Once again, one, Kyle O'Reilly just beat him essentially twice, if you go back to that Blood and Guts match, which is totally massive. But also, when the Death Riders did come out, they sort of beat Kyle O'Reilly up for a bit, well, Jon Moxley did, they were all looking at Jon like, man, you waste of space We had a close-up shot of Marina Shafir. She didn't look happy. And by the time Pac was out there, he looked even less happy. So if that win for Pac does tie into the fact he can go, Jonathan, you were not victorious, but I was. And let's say it's Marina Shafir that takes him out, which would be absolutely massive narrative-wise. It's the right thing to do. John Moxley can then be whoever the flub he wants to be, babyface, heel, somewhere in the middle. Whereas the Death Riders get to reset and maybe even recruit a new member or sort of elevate Daniel Garcia too. That makes all the sense in the world. I'm just so impressed. And I love Kyle O'Reilly. I think he's incredibly talented. It just wasn't on my bingo card that he would beat John Moxley. But it means in this last 6 months, Hangman has benefited, Darby has benefited, and now Kyle. That's pro wrestling, man. That's how it works. Especially if you are a veteran and giving it an up. It's good stuff. Now I'm going to throw a small down in here because we went from a no-holds-barred match into a DQ match because it was TNT title time between Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe. I don't want to get away from the fact that all of these guys absolutely busted their ass, but I was a bit like, I could use a cleanser here. Literally, I could use something to wipe the blood from my eyes. That's just me. And if you like the carnage, more power to you. I am going to give it a down. Not that it matters because like I just said, we basically did the whole wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The Mark Briscoe title win is coming because he had this amazing entrance when, I think Kyle and Briscoe looked what everybody else had done. They're like, we're going to have tables, we're going to have thumbtacks, we can have barbed wire. In about 8 seconds, they were bleeding. And this one may have been more disgusting than the other one. This basically became a tables match after a while, then it did become a ladder match because everyone was just being thrown through them and thrown into them. And then of course the barbed wire was being squished too. Although there were some incredible moments like this Frocky Bro Mark Briscoe hit into all the nonsense. And that wasn't the finish, but look, it riled the fans up something fierce. And I certainly did buy him. I just think maybe you could have done it without all the weapons, but it doesn't matter. It's much of a muchness. They took their plunder, they made it work. And it was a pretty damn emotional experience. I personally could have done without more stabbing, because Kyle Fletcher had the screwdriver, although that has become his weapon, which makes him a weird dude. And when Mark Briscoe kicked out of the brain buster, oh man, at the 1-2, the place did explode. When they did fight to the top rope, it looked like Fletcher was gonna do the avalanche version, but instead, this Mark Briscoe hit, an avalanche, razor's edge, I guess you could call it. Kyle Fletcher went just smashing through this table. Briscoe grabbed him, gave him the Dre Jiller, and he got the 1-2-3, and you could just feel it in the room, which makes no sense coming from me. That's 2 + 2 equals potato, because I wasn't in the room, but I tell you, the atmosphere came out of my damn TV screen, and it hit me in the face. I was just so pleased for him, because this is what we wanted with Mark Briscoe, and we all know what he has been through the last few years. I thought it was tremendous. I don't even care if he loses the belt back to Kyle Fletcher on Wednesday nights, whatever you want to do. It's one of those things that's tangible, and you can hold it in your hand, even though you're like a strange old person. I'm giving it up. It was a fantastic match, and Mark Briscoe just won a singles championship, and flub me sideways did he earn it. It was then time for Kenny Omega and the Jurassic Express taking on the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander. I'm gonna keep this one simple because my words can't do it justice. Yes, it was your party match. Yes, I would imagine it was greatly inspired by what they used to do back in PWG, but without all that, we probably wouldn't have AEW today. And they were all just brilliant, and they're a bunch of old-timers. And this Kenny Omega, the way he sells, I was like, has he hurt his leg? I think he's hurt his leg. He is just next level, as are the Young Bucks. It was tremendous. Go and watch it. I know, but I don't like that kind of wrestling. It's fine. I don't know why I applied the voice there. Then don't watch it. But if you are into it, well, it was nigh on perfect. Of course, the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander struggled to be on the same page because it is pro wrestling, and they kept crashing together all of the time. At one point, the Young Bucks were having a super kick party, and I guess they over-invited Josh Alexander because he got whammed right in the mouth. And then that led him into Kenny Omega, who one-winged angel him on the outside. It's in my notes, I literally wrote this, and then Josh Alexander was killed. Jack Perry had been watching all of this though, so he snuck in and tried to get the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, but sadly that didn't work, because Matt Jackson decided he wasn't into it when the Bucks hit the BT trigger, and they just won. And don't forget that is a massive deal, because it means they just got $1 million. They're rich again. The John Callis family then celebrated too, and Callis especially was like, Matt and Nick, you did it, you can go buy a Ferrari, whatever the hell you want to do. But this is when the rest of the fam went to the ring and they beat up Kenny Omega. And we just hit fast forward here. Matt and Nick decided, no, we don't like this. They turned on the Don Callis family. They beat everybody up. It looked like there was going to be some animosity between them and Kenny, which would make all the sense in the world and make it could be like, you have been awful people for the last few years. But after they embraced with the Jurassic Express, nope, Kenny Omega ignored their handshake and he gave him a big hug. I was like, well, there we go. We're back together again. They also did this with the boy from the jungle and a dinosaur, so it was like the end of a cartoon. Because I can be a bit of a nerd, I was like, man, I hope we haven't hit fast forward because Kenny Omega this week again has told us how much he does struggle with injuries. I just hope he is okay. But ultimately, if wrestling is there to make you feel good in your Tootsie Toes, which was the idea, sometimes why not just jump to the conclusion? I mean, what else you were going to do? But when you take this, I did think it was lovely. And the match itself, I really do have to give it an up. I mean, their timing, their execution, their ring psychology, once again, the way they sell, they really are tremendous. And I get they're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but as a man that wrestles, sometimes they do things. I'm like, well, you just next level. I thought it was fantastic. But I also think that AEW confirmed that Kris Statlander is an alien again, because during her entrance, she kicked out of a UFO and then did a little bit of a pose. So I hope the booping comes back. And of course, Mercedes Mone came out with a bunch of people with all of her belts, and she actually did a 14 Three Amigos. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever said. That doesn't make any sense. But she did 14 suplexes. And why did she do this? Because she has 14 titles. There's another one who I think has had a tremendous 2025. Mercedes Mone's been great. There's also a cool story here too, because surprise, surprise, Kris Statlander did get the win. So now Mercedes Mone can travel the world and she can win this championship, that championship. But when it comes to the world title, which I presume is the crown in her eye or the jewel in her eye, she's not able to do it because it's the second time she's attempted it. Once I go back to my book, she's failed. She also worked over Statlander's arm during this, and I like to think it's because somebody had told her that aliens don't like their limbs being attacked. Imagine that was the story. Imagine AEW actually said that. People would be so mad. What are we talking about? Monet then went for the splash of the frogs, but she totally missed, so Kris smacked her right in the face. When Statlander hit, the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the Blue Thunder Bomb, but she did it on the outside. So I think she'd done the maths and gone, well, it is a good maneuver. Like, it can do good things, but can't put anyone, so let's just use it for maximum damage. Now, once again, Mercedes took this on the floor, so people love to throw shade at her, but she's totally kicking it. When Kris Statlander did the ultimate insult, she applied the statement maker, and surprise, surprise, Monet reversed that because she's been there before. Monet then had her own reversals because she stopped the Saturday Night Fever into the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, surprise roll-up, but that didn't work, and that's when Statlander hit a flipping package pile driver, and Mercedes grabbed the rope at the 1-2-0. Then even got a flipping poison rhino by Mercedes, but I actually think that did tie into the finish, because Monet went for some kind of head scissors in the corner, Kris Statlander just stopped her, she hit the Saturday Night Fever, and she got the 1-2-3. I was like, damn, there was no shenanigans. Essentially, Kris just outworked and out-wrestled Mercedes, and that's an awesome story in itself. Kind of goes back to the Kyle O'Reilly stuff. If you're trying to elevate someone, just have them win matches, as wasn't easy. It was a big old fight, but as simple as that. You've got to give it an up. Kris Statlander is now established as the champion going into 2026. And as for Mercedes, she's in an interesting position. All these belts, but she's not got the star on top of the tree. Okada, Carl Fletcher, and Takeshita then all declared they're going into the Continental Classic because they hate each other. They're all like, well, you suck and you didn't help me and I'm offended by your face. So now they are going to do it in the tournament. When, my gosh, did we get to one hell of a main event. Because it was Hangman and Page versus Samoa Joe for the AEW World title, and Hangman came out to music from Red Dead Redemption 2, so how can you not love that guy? And if you go watch some of my predictions, you will hear me say, I actually think I said this word for word, nobody in their right mind thinks Samoa Joe is going to win. So who doesn't deserve a job? It's you. I can't fire myself, then I'll have no money. I am going to be a bit awful here, so please do forgive me. But Hangman and Page was bleeding in about 2 minutes, and then Samoa Joe was bleeding as well, to the point they basically got out of some submission holds because they had blood lube, which is the worst thing I've ever said. I don't think you need this much blood on a show. Like, I don't mind it, and if you want to put blood in every single match, why not? But I kind of see it from an artistic point of view, because I'm an absolute dickhead, and if every single match has blood in it, then it almost feels like no matches have blood in it because it has the same effect. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Probably not. I'm going to give it a tiny down because now really you want to go for like 6 months without any blood, but also AEW shouldn't do that because they kind of lean into that to begin with. So that was absolute gibberish that came out of my mouth, but sometimes you can't explain things, You can tell me I'm a fool in the comments below. Of course, the run-in started pretty quickly, as we all assumed they would, because Shibata ran down there, and he just scaled the cage like Spider-Man. But then Kingston was like, I don't want you to do that, so he walked out there too and stopped him. When we had a great bit with Powerhouse Hobbs, always played the classics, he came to the ring, and he ripped the door off the cage. Now, this does happen too much in cage matches, or people escape too much. But if you've got a big dude, and he's never ripped a door off the cage, you have to do this. I was a big fan, and may have laughed like a child. Now, around this time too, Joe took out the referee when Hangman hit the dead eye, so he did have a visual pinfall over Joe. That's when my brain kicked into gear. I was like, well, there's only one reason to do that. Oh my gosh, I think Samoa Joe is gonna win. But even then, I didn't believe. Now, Page was still able to get rid of Hobbs using the steel, and this is when he was able to hit the buckshot lariat, but because the referee was still down, out came Hook, and he was like, let me revive you with my magical powers, when instead, he saw that AEW World title, and he smacked Adam Page right in the head. He went heel when he revealed he'd been wearing an Ops t-shirt the entire time. Because I'm a weird guy, I instantly remember that time Samoa Joe told me that the Ops was a 3-man group only. I was like, you damn liar, I believed in your maths. Instantly, Samoa Joe took his Phoenix down, he was back to his feet, and he hit the damn muscle buster onto a chair, if you can believe it, very well timed. The referee came back to his feet, he counted 3, and I actually looked around my room, which is strange. I watched wrestling by myself. I was like, Samoa Joe is the world champion. Then I went right on social media because I knew there was going to be a meltdown. And who doesn't like a good old-fashioned meltdown? Now, there was actually more here as well, because not only do we have the coolest shot of the year, when Samoa Joe just had blood dripping down his face, but we got the lights out gimmick, Prince Nana appeared, Swerve Strickland made his return, we had more teases, because there was a bunch of Ops Dojo members, if you want to call them that, kind of making a pathway for him, and even Samoa Joe was like, yeah, get Hangman Adam Page, you hate that guy, but of course he didn't. He started to beat up the Ops, Samoa Joe ran away because now he's a proper coward, and the show, or the pay-per-view, went off air, with Hangman Adam Page dead on the floor, Swerve looking at Joe looking at Swerve. I was like, I didn't predict any of this. What an absolute barrage of madness. Now here is the deal. I will admit I went full on geek, full on nerd when this happened. I was like, you can't take the belt of Hangman Adam Page so soon after All In. And then I was like, why? Why the flub not? This is probably going to be Samoa Joe's last ever world title reign. If you want to talk about the modern day, he absolutely is one of the modern GOATs. I mean, even when he's just talking to on a microphone, it's like, oh my gosh, that guy. 2, it puts you in a mindset of, well, now you never know what's going to happen in any match. 3, it justifies doing Samoa Joe and Hangman Adam Page. We all thought it was a filler feud. No, it wasn't. But number 4, I think that's right, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the most important part, sometimes you should just do things because it's fun to do things. And now, you can't just do it like Swerve-wise. I don't mean Swerve Strickland. I mean like a Vince Russo Swerve, because that never works. But Samoa Joe is a legitimate competitor. Having him feud with Swerve is perfectly fine. Having Hangman Adam Page thrown into the mix makes it super interesting, because he hates Strickland, but now he probably hates Samoa Joe more. And also, you can change world titles when you want to do it. You can change any belt when you want to do it. Not every single person has to hold that damn thing for 42,791 years. So the way that it made me feel, the way that it surprised me, the way that it made me want to talk to people about it, and it's not like some random person won it, it's Samoa Joe. I actually totally love this. WWE could do it more, AEW could do it more. Let's say Cody Rhodes lost to Drew McIntyre at whatever the last show was. That actually may have been better, all things considered looking back. I appreciated the risk, I appreciate the fact AEW had done this, and once again, I want to make it very clear, my big point is just 2 words, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is the absolute best. I mean, I enjoyed it. It doesn't affect Hangman Adam Page. He's one of the best baby faces in all of wrestling. He'll be totally fine. Story should be about taking you on a roller coaster. That's exactly what we did here. So actually, rather than just react to it, when I gave my brain some time to think about it, it gets an up. It was a fantastic end to a really good pay-per-view, and Swerve Strickland is back. And the way we re-represented him, that's not the right word, re-brought him back, talking absolute nonsense now, it just made him feel like a super duper whooper megastar 9000. So yes, as just mentioned there, I thought Full Gear, or Full Gore, because there was so much blood, I shouldn't have said that, I'm sorry, was a terrific show. I would always enjoy it, or prefer it, I should say, if we just shaved off 20 or 30 minutes here, because I just think it would make it feel more like an adrenaline shot to your arm. But either way, great pay-per-view, so much to talk about. And if AEW can just make sure they follow up on some of these stories on Dynamite, I think they move into the end of the year in a great position It's getting it up. Now, of course, there'll be so much you agree and don't agree with me with, so put it in the comments below, like the video, share the video, and subscribe. My thoughts for SmackDown on the screen right now. It's the ups and downs for SmackDown, obviously. Otherwise, have a terrific